Good evening to everyone, and welcome to Dr. Kiran C. Patel Center for Sustainable Development Sustainability Seminar Series. So this webinar on demand side management for sustainable energy future is organized under Dr. Kiran C. Patel Center for Sustainable Development at IIT Gandhinagar. I, on behalf of IIT Gandhinagar, again welcome you all to this seminar. This seminar is focused on demand side management, covering the concept of DSM, scope and significance of DSM in India, governing Indian laws, policies, and regulation on DSM, need for DSM to conserve energy and control the carbon emissions, DSM benefits to society and environmental impact, type of DSM, energy efficiency, and its cost and benefit analysis, and also covers the demand response and innovative tariff. So with this very brief note on the webinar series, it's now my pleasure to introduce speaker today, Professor Anand Kumar. He is Professor of Practice in Electrical Engineering discipline at IIT Gandhinagar. Before joining IIT Gandhinagar, Professor Anand Kumar worked as a chairperson of Gujarat Electricity Regulation Commission and Meghalaya State Electricity Regulation Commission for 10 years. He also served Uttarakhand Electricity Regulation Commission as acting chairperson and member. Some of the key assignments in which Professor Anand Kumar was involved include unbundling and restructuring of power sector in Uttar Pradesh and regulatory assignment in 4 state electricity regulation commission of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Meghalaya, and Gujarat. Professor Anand Kumar holds a Master of Business Administration degree and graduate degree in Electrical Engineering from IIT Roorkee. He has done an advanced software programming training course from Hitachi, Japan, and training in economics regulation from National Regulatory Research Institute at Ohio University, USA. With this very brief introduction of Professor Anand Kumar, I would now invite Professor Anand Kumar to start his session. Over to Professor Anand Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Naran, and thank you, Faguni, for arranging this seminar. And good evening to everyone who are attending this program. As per your list, it is about 35 participants, so a good number. The program which is being taken up for the discussion is the demand side management. You know, demand side management is not a new concept. It is a very old concept, but because of the fact that now the energy sector is, or the power sector is going into such a transition stage because of the incoming of renewable energy in the country, I feel that this subject is very interesting, and you cannot avoid this subject knowledge. So I thought that it is a good time that we should discuss about something about the DSM. But my overall, idea is to take up the DSM in a way that it will give you the importance of the DSM, because what happened, I feel that in India, DSM is not, taken up by the consumers or the utilities. Even as a regulator also, since my term was 5 years in Gujarat, I tried to make certain, regulations and certain schemes where the energy efficiency should be, taken up by the consumers of the state, and in turn, it will benefit the society. Everywhere, whenever I go to the programs, I keep a picture of India, which is at 2030, means next 10 years. So what will be the future of that? We feel that sustainable future is, you cannot avoid. Sustainability is very important. And I feel that Kiran C. Patel Center for Sustainable Development is doing very well done work here in IIT. And with the presence of the engineers or the professors from IIT, I think the program should be successful in the long run. So we are talking of the India 2030, where our dream is that everyone in electricity, everyone in the country should get electricity by 24/7. That is our idea. You know that India has taken a very long journey to reach this stage when we say that our all rural electrification work is completed and all the villages have been connected with the grid. It means that electricity can reach to everyone. The situation is that about 20 to 30% household still have not access to the electricity. And that is the main issue for the country, that we should reach to them and they should also get the energy. But the question here it is whether it is sustainable or not, because sustainable is as per, if you see the definition is that whatever we do today, it should not affect the future generation. And that is the idea behind the sustainability. If you take up a very small, I would like to tell you the story, very small story, which is, I think I have read somewhere in the WhatsApp or some like this, that a parent-teacher meeting, the school called the parents to come to the school, and then they are seated in a separate room. The children were seated in a separate room. The parents were given color boxes of pencils. And then they have told that you make a good drawing, colorful drawing. Everybody has created very good drawings, all colorful drawings. And then what happened? The same class has now been arranged for the students. They called the children and they say that, okay, now you also make the colorful, drawings. But what happened? The parents have used all these color pencils in a, big way. So their leftover was only dark pencils like black color or white colors or so. So the children used that colors and finally they have given a picture of black and white. So that is the kind of sustainability, that now you have to be careful that whatever you are using today, it should not affect the future generation of your, family. So this electricity is now becoming a hot topic for, present day need. Everywhere you see that we say that, okay, global warming is coming up, and then your carbon emission is now, we have to control it. The India is also have taken a lot of, targets that, okay, we by 2030, we will reach to, 35%, whatever we are producing carbon dioxide, that will be reduced by 35%. And that comparison is being made from 2005. So now we are also saying that, okay, India will reach to 40% of our demand should be met by renewable energy. So these two goals are very important NSD for India. And we will see that our NSD should meet by, next few years, because what happened in the last 2-3 years when this COVID happened, then the pace was, disturbed. And that way we are not so, ahead of that. But yes, till date, against 175 gigawatt, we have reached to 100 gigawatt of solar and wind. So that is the kind of target we are saying. So for meeting the renewable energy, now what is the role of demand side management? Why I am saying that demand side management is now the hot topic today? Because of the fact that renewable energy is an intermittent energy. Intermittent energy means it is a kind of variable energy where it varies from nature, this thing. So till date, what happened? The demand side management was there, but the operator or the load dispatch center has to meet the demand and supply. Demand was always fluctuating. That was always variable. But they have to regulate their own conventional power station, which is run by either coal or gas or nuclear or hydro. So that can be managed, because the demand was fluctuating, but supply was managing this by controlling the power stations. Now, by coming of this renewable energy, the whole scenario is disturbed. When you talk about 20 to 30% of variable energy, then you have to manage the variable energy now also, because this conventional generation, they should have a flexibility that they should, pick up the generation very fast. They can got down with the very fast technique. So flexibility is not a big issue. So now we are talking of that. Why not flexibility should be introduced in the consumer side? We are talking of the utility side. Demand side management is nothing but a utility side efforts to manage the demand after the meter. Now we are talking of the demand response to be managed by the consumer itself by offering them different kind of demand response programs. So this is the, this is the thing we want, that India should also go ahead with this kind of thing. While if you see the ground reality, if you compare India with UK, USA, Australia, then we are not on the right path. We are very nascent state. So as a center, as a sustainable center, this is the job of our this center or the professors, that okay, now we should inculcate a kind of awareness in the public or in the utilities to go ahead with this kind of program. So this is my beginning, and I will try to finish this within the given time schedule. The way of presentation will be like Mr. Naran has told you already. Like we will see because I don't know whether people are from power sector or not, but yes, I will give them a brief idea. Then the concept and the scope of significance, and then the why we need DSM to conserve energy, and what are the governing laws in India that regulate the DSM program. Then energy efficiency articles. I cannot go into details because the time is very short, and this program is a long program. And recently I have finished that demand side management short program, which carries 10-hour lectures. So this is not a small program, but yes, I just want to give you the importance. I just want to get you feel the importance of demand side management in your day-to-day life. So overview of the power sector is that the power sector has a generation, transmission, and distribution. We generate electricity at a far places where the coal fields are there or some remote places. Then it is carried on the transmission lines and it reaches to the distribution lines. Now in generation, if you see the numbers, I will like to see the numbers that in India, when India was independent in 1947, the installed capacity in India was only 1362 megawatt. And now after 75 years of our independence, we have reached to 2020, and our total installed capacity is more than 370 gigawatt, means 370,000 megawatt. So, and then you see the number of villages when they were electrified in post independence in 50, it was only 3,000, but now we have reached to about 60 lakhs. So this kind of development took place. And now we have to see that in next future, our renewable generation will take place, and we will, start adding renewable energy from solar and wind. So today, about 50% of our generation is from private sector, because what happened in 2003, there was a policy to invite the private sector participation in the country. So in that way, number of producers have come to, India power sector, and they started generating electricity. So 50% is from independent power producers, and 26% from state, DISCOM, state generating stations, and then central generating station like NTPC has also 24%. So coal is the main, ingredient for generation of power. And that is the idea that okay, this is disturbing the whole atmosphere. The CO2 emission is majorly from the transport and electricity generation. So we have to regulate electricity in such a way that coal requirement is reduced. In transmission also, as I told you, there are lines of about 400 kV, 220 kV, and 132 kV. These are being, looked after by the transmission company. But in Gujarat, 66 kV lines are also being regulated by the transmission company. So in interstate operation, like state-to-state transmission, we have Power Grid Transmission Company, which is owned by the central government. And there is a National Load Dispatch Center which regulates the power of transfer from one state to other state, because grid is common in the country. We have 5 grids. In north, we have North Grid, South Grid, Western Grid, Eastern Grid, and Northeast Grid. So all are connected to each other, and there is no, kind of interruption. The whole grid has to be made a balance at 50 hertz, and then there is a smooth transfer of the power. Then the distribution is the main heart of the business, which supplies electricity to the common man, and they have a small substation of 33 kV by 11 kV and a set of transformers and distribution network of 11 kV or 33 kV. It depends upon state to state, but yes, generally the lines are 11 kV, and then you get the supply through transformers. But in India, most of the SCBs or most of the DISCOMs are government owned, like those who were earlier state electricity boards. Now they have been converted into DISCOM companies. But yes, some cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Surat, Calcutta, they have private utilities. Like in Gujarat, we have Torrent Power Limited, who is looking after the Ahmedabad and Surat. Now, what is the demand side management? If you see that demand side management is nothing, but it is traditionally it happens that to reduce the electricity demand, because at that point of time, the energy was in deficit. There was a deficit in the country, and the generation was not able to meet the demand of the total population. And that way, demand side management concept was came, a kind of supply side management, that, okay, we have to increase the supply, or we have to purchase more power to supply the electricity to everyone. But mostly the demand side management was to, taken up for deferring the investment in generation transmission capacity. If you be able to reduce your demand by 10%, naturally your capacity of 20%, because there is a loss of about 30 to 40% in that period. And that way, if you use 1 unit, we have to generate 2 units of electricity. And that way, if you reduce that, the burden of the companies will be reduced. So this is for the economic reliability and environmental benefit. But now that DSM, the latest definition of DSM is that action of utility beyond the customer meter. This is beyond the customer meter. So to alter the end use of electricity means they have to alter the end of use. Means now there is no reduction. It can decrease or increase depending upon your supply situation. Like, for example, I will give you the example. Like solar is in abundance, and it is abundance during the daytime. Now in daytime, when the offices are working, the household requirement of electricity is very, low. So if you want to use the solar power during such hour when the energy is generated from solar panel, and that is cheaper, so it is better to alter the demand. And that demand, you have to shift it from some, peak hours to, daytime. And that way, like in Gujarat, what is happening? We have 25% consumption from the agriculture sector. Now, the agriculture sectors are being given power for 8 hours only, and that too in the daytime and night time and evening time. And that was staggered in such a way that at a point of time, only 1/3 of the farmers are getting electricity, and they are shifted from 8 hour to 8 hour. No, but now what happened is with this coming of the solar power, we have plenty of supply during daytime. So now we are shifting that night load of the farmers. That means the 8 hours which are giving supply during night, they are shifted to the daytime. So we are altering. So this is nothing but a demand side management that happens after a customer meter. So similarly, high and low period peaks is also matters, because whenever there is a peak, it means the company has to make the arrangement for that, meeting that peak. And it means that suppose I have a peak of 18,000 in Gujarat, while our base load is only 14,000, but we have to create a capacity of 18,000 megawatt machines. So this is the surplus capacity we have. And if the peak hours are not very, I can say, very high, I mean to say that suppose our peak hour is only for 2 hours. So it means our machines are running for 2 hours, only 4,000 megawatt. So that is the suboptimal utilization of the machine. So it is better to flat the demand and use the maximum plant load factor of the machine. So that can be, then your fixed charges will also be reduced. So this is in the overall interest of the reducing the utility cost. So the definition is action of utility beyond the customer meter to alter the end use of electricity, whether it's to be increase demand or to decrease it, shift it to between high and low period, or manage it when there are intermittent load demands in overall interest of the reducing the utility cost. Now, there are only two types of programs. If you say in simple words, DSM is, or DSM equals to the load management plus energy efficiency. Load is managed like your management of shifting of load, like from peak to off peak. So your demand is stable, smooth, a flat. So 100% utilization of the machine will make. And similarly, energy efficiency means reducing demand through more efficient processes. This is also very important, because now since we are in the such situation that we have to reduce our carbon emission by 35%. So in that way, I think DSM is going to in a big way, that we have to manage our load plus energy efficiency. So only two things have to be done. One is through energy reduction programs, and second is the load management program. So these programs are to be done by the electricity utilities who are responsible for DISCOMs, who are responsible for distribution of electricity in the sector. Now, energy efficiency is nothing but the same, it is the example. What is the example? That requires less energy to build the same output as incandescent lamp is giving. So LED is nothing but a 7-watt bulb who will give you the same illumination which a 60-watt bulb is giving. So there is a reduction of one. I can say you are reduction of 90% of your your consumption is reduced. So energy efficiency is nothing but a using of technology that requires less energy to perform the same function. Now, why DSM is needed? As I told you, the first function is the cost reduction of meeting energy demand. When you create less capacity, naturally your investment will be lower. Your total aggregate revenue requirement of the utility will be lower. And that way, the cost of the supply or the tariff will be lower. So first is your cost reduction of meeting energy demand. The second is very important, which is the environmental and social improvement. Like that CO2 hazards, it is very, very damaging to the society. Most of the CO2 or SOx means sulfur dioxide or NOx, nitrogen oxide, these are very harmful gases, which we call greenhouse gases. Now this affects our lungs and respiratory problems. Even sometime it is seen that there are diseases like cancer if it is O3 is also if it is on the lower earth strata. So in that way, we have our mission is to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. We have to talk of net zero or carbon neutrality in next few years. Most of the country, like 132 country, was given this NDC, which is nationally determined contribution. They have given the contribution for making the net zero by 2050. Means whatever energy you generate from the non-fossil fuel like renewable. And if you have produced carbon, then you have to neutralize it by putting a lot of plants and different technologies who can absorb these carbon dioxide. The third thing is very important, that reliability and network issue. If your demand and supply is matched, then there is no fluctuation, even your transmission lines strengthening is also done if your demand or energy management is proper. Then there is a energy security. What is energy security? Energy security is the economic stability. You're non or you you are not dependent upon the other countries, like we are depending upon the gas and coal from outside. So if you are going for renewable energy, this will definitely help you to make your energy more secured. And then the last is we will also improve the markets. Today, market is only for the energy. We're not talking of the reactive power, or we're not talking of the your green contribution or some type of demand response programs. That market is to be, now we have to innovate so that the use of electricity is in a optimal, better way. Now, benefit I have already told. The first benefit is the win-win for consumer and utility. If you use your energy efficient items like bulbs, fans, geysers, even your air conditioners, refrigerators, washing machines, if all are this energy efficient, then your bill will definitely be reduced. I have experience that when I went to Shillong as a chairperson, there was a culture that everybody was using CFL bulb. So my house was full of CFL bulb at that point of time, about 6-7 years back. So my electricity bill was very, very low. While coming from Uttar Pradesh, I was in the habit of using, incandescent lamp, tube lights, and all these things. So naturally, the bill was very high. So this is a kind of relief to the customers. They will reduce their electricity bills. Now, reduction in the need of the new power plant. As I told you, if you reduce your demand, naturally your capacity to serve is also reduced. So it is not required that you add additional facility. There is a calculation that India by 2030 will save about 300 gigawatt energy installation by using their renewable energy and energy efficiency. Means both way, DSM, if you use DSM properly, then I think in next 10 years, the demand or the additional generation capacity will be reduced in a big way. And we will be able to supply electricity to everyone without any deficit. At present also, we have capacity of 380 gigawatt, while our demand is about 340 gigawatt. But there is a small 0.03% deficit in the peak demand. So that can also be regulated by, innovative tariffs or, by good application of demand side management programs. Now, this, as I told you, this electricity is a, very important subject in the country. And if you do it, everyone get the electricity of its required, amount, then the economic development will also take. A lot of manufacturers of energy efficiency equipment, a lot of manufacturers of your renewable energy will come to the country, and your country will have quite a good economic development. Now, long-term jobs, yes, increase in competitiveness of local enterprise. There will be a competition when you go for the energy efficiency or something like that. There will be a competition in the local level, and that will also be good for the states. Reduction in air pollution, this is very important, and reduce dependency on the foreign sources. So, as I told you, I already told you that why India needs now this demand side management. Demand side management give reduction in demand, better efficiency, and low carbon intensity. So this is very important, that low carbon intensity with the same GDP. Now, if you use the energy efficient equipments, then your carbon intensity will be definitely lower. India can avoid building 300 gigawatt of new power generation up to 2040 with implementation of ambitious energy efficiency policies. Successful implementation of energy efficiency measure contributed to electricity saving of 7% of total electricity consumption of the country, and emission reduction of 108.28 million tons CO2 during 17. There was a very good report. If you go to the website of BEE, that is the Bureau of Energy Efficiency in India, and there is a recent, I think last month, the energy minister has released this report, which has given the, whole information or the study which happened in the last 5 years, how they have created the baseline data, and then from baseline data, after using the energy efficient initiatives, how the energy is reduced, and what benefit has been arrived, because they have said that the additional capacity of installed generation is also reduced and the consumption is also reduced. So environmental is already benefited by this kind of reduced emission, reliability on network issues, improved market, improved national energy security. So I think India should strive for demand side management. Now, as I told you, in the flexibility, this thing handling of the demand, the demand response will take a very hot seat today, and we have to say that direct load control, that means that they can directly regulate your load for some loads which are very of non-critical nature, like a washing machine or so. They can control it from remotely, but it needs the smart meters and some sort of a load dispatch center with a smart grid. So that is also under process. But yes, the future will be there, that their demand response with direct load control will come. Then dynamic pricing is the another measure where we can encourage the consumers voluntarily curtailment during demand response events. We can send a signal to them during such hours when the power is very expensive, so that the consumers start reducing that load, and against that they will get some benefit from the utility in the shape of either reduction in the bill or some kind of token amount added in their bills as a negative balance. So demand response technology, as I told you, it varies from strategy to strategy, and then dynamic pricing, both are taken together, and that way the demand response will come in India, I think, in next few years. As a regulator, I tried to do this, but regulatory job is also very sensitive, and it is very sensitive to the political this thing, because electricity is such a subject that it is used by all of the population. So naturally, government is also very conscious, and they cannot implement any policy or any regulation which give a shock to the consumers. So we have to go gradually. It takes time, but yes, it will not trouble anyone, and it will not affect the comfort of our population in India and in the state. So these are the yes, advanced metering infrastructure is also very important. Now it will come. So we have to study this also, that it will cover the smart meter to smart grid, this thing, the software, hardware, everything will be there. So this is the latest thing which we will take up in next 2-3 years time, and the regulations have to be made so that the utilities will follow it. Now there are a lot of energy reduction programs, like I told you, energy efficiency in light. We have to improve the performance of the boiler, your generating stations, your turbine system. Everywhere you have efficiency, you have to inculcate efficiency. Using natural light in the building is also given in the building codes. There are building regulations from 2007. Now, if you use more than 100 kilowatt of energy, then there are mandatory requirement of the building. So building code is also there. So this kind of this thing, BE has already dealt with this kind of program. Then the second issue is the utility side, how they will manage the energy. They have to, make a kind of tracking of energy consumption, and then how they will, regulate that consumption trend so that the utilities are benefited with this kind of program. So that needs the, whole online real-time data, and that way the smart meter will be the options which we cannot ignore in next 2-3 year times, and that will give the survey and auditing of energy in a, in a good, way. And that, but yes, it all requires the capital. That is the problem in India. The DISCOM business is not very healthy. Apart from only 2-3 states, most of the states, their DISCOMs are not doing, financial good health, and they are not in profits. And that is also a cause of concern for the government and the regulator, that to manage this kind of activity and inculcate this kind of programs, it requires the investments. And that way they all depend upon the central government. Yes, central government is taking a lot of initiative. If you see their initiative, if you go to their website, a lot of initiatives they have taken. like from energy pumps of 5-star rating. They have given free of cost to the farmers. To lot of this thing in Gujarat also happens. So the farmers were given this kind of pumps, and they are replaced by the old pumps. And then the second is the solar agriculture pump, where they are giving 30% subsidy to the solar panel. Then the third way is your Ujala scheme, which is very important. They are giving LED bulbs at 10 rupees cost, which is I think world's greatest initiative, where 10 rupee only costing for the LED bulbs, but they have made this kind of provision in the villages. So this is kind of programs. As I told you, there are measures taken by the BEEE, and there is a Energy Conservation Act also. I will talk about later. Now, this is only the, see, there are two type of, I told you that energy efficiency, there is only your curve of consumption will go down permanently. Because if you start using the LED bulbs, then your consumption will permanently reduce. This is energy efficiency. But what is demand response? Demand response is nothing but a transitional, temporary, relief. Like during such hours or the peak hours, we used to shift the demand. So this is the shifting of demand, but the consumption may not increase. So this is the basic difference between demand response and your energy efficiency. So now I have also wanted to tell you about the load curves. This is very important DSM strategies. We have about 6 type of this thing curve, which the utility has to take an call that okay, which type of strategy I should use. One is energy conservation. You reduce the overall consumption, your peak demand and your energy demand will reduce. Peak clipping. Peak clipping is nothing. You have to reduce the consumption at a peak level. Then your impact on the peak demand will be lower and your consumption will also be lower. But there is a load shifting strategy. Load shifting strategy means you have to shift the load from peak hour to off-peak hour to balance your plant load factor of your plants and reduce the purchase of higher cost of energy during peak hours. And that is called load shifting curve. Then flexibility. Flexibility means to induce the change in the load as per the supply. That can be changed as a demand response. If you want to make your load flexible, then you have to give certain kind of controlling signals or some SMS to the consumers. They can shift their load. That impact on energy demand may reduce or may not reduce, but yes, during peak hours when that signal was given, that will reduce. Then a strategic load growth, you have to require electricity at different, like electric vehicles. We want electric vehicles to be charged during such hours when there is a generation from solar. So that kind of, application requires electricity. So the impact of peak demand may increase and impact of energy may increase. Then valley filling. Valley filling is nothing but your demand during off-peak hours can be filled up by an additional demand. So as I told you, only 2 programs, energy efficiency and the load management. There are 2 methods to, DSM. One is the energy efficiency, permanent reduction in the consumption, provides some or better energy services with the fewer load. Then load management is shifting of your demand. Now, these are some, provision of the Act. I will say that the Act of Electricity, which we call Electricity Act 2003, they have only touched upon the efficiency. They have not talked about the demand side management, but they have said that the factor which encourages competition efficiency, everywhere efficiency is there. So you can say that efficiency matters in the Electricity Act. But the National Electricity Policy, which is the main document which was created out of Electricity Act, which gives the policy framework for all the regulators that okay, energy conservation is a subject of high priority. And there we will see that the National Electricity Policy says Energy Conservation Act has also been enacted, DE has also been set up. There are a lot of initiatives taken by the central government to encourage an energy efficiency program. So energy conservation is a priority area in the National Electricity Policy. Similarly, Bureau of Energy Efficiency is set up in 2002, and now they started working and they have several schemes. But yes, the mandatory scheme is not such as we have in UK and USA, because we don't have demand response program still in our country. But they have only, introduced labeling of energy like triple star, 4-star, 5-star ratings on the 12 mandatory items. I think there are 21 equipment for which they have given. Out of this, 10 is mandatory. Means like air conditioner, refrigerator, lamps, bulbs, fans, geysers, they are mandatory. Manufacturer has to, show that how much efficient it is. So this kind of programs are there. And the second is the PAT, means perform, and then, you can trade by using the energy certificate. That is by the, big industries. So these two type of programs they have given. But yes, we need to go for more policy where we can fix the targets for, energy efficiency. Like if we fix a target like USA, like 10% reduction in energy consumption in the next 10 years, that is kind of the target we need to, introduce in our country. And for that, I think this is the job of the regulator. Regulator and the policy, if both are combined together, it will give the good results. And that is the requirement of today's, where we should, encourage the demand side management. National tariff policy also talk about the smart meters. They also talk about the time of day tariff. So this kind of, subject was taken up by the central government policies. So there is a, direction that, okay, you have to do this, but finally, all the policies are implemented by the regulation. So there is a job of the regulator now to introduce it gradually so that there is not hue and cry in the public. So Electricity Regulatory Commission, like Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, who is the apex body in the country, but they are looking after the transmission and generation work. For distribution, there are a state subject. So state electricity regulatory commissions are working in each, states. There are 29 regulatory commissions working in the country, and their job is to make the regulation by previous publications, means they have to consult it with the public, and then they make the policy or regulation, and that regulation becomes the law. And all the utilities who are given license to work, they have to abide by that. And that way, the demand side management and demand response program can be introduced in a strong manner. Now, this is the regulation, which is the present regulation. I will not go into details because this is very lengthy and the time is very short, and we cannot, we cannot tell you. But yes, our objective is to assess the technical potential of DSM. First, we have to assess the DSM, what kind of DSM we need. And for that, we have to go for the targets. And if there is a target, then the licensee has to meet that target, like saving as a percentage of total resources to meet the load. So that target, the regulator has to fix. The guidelines, there is a guidelines that how the DSM program is made and how this is to be taken approval from the for the regulator. So first thing is the load and market research, then implementation of DSM programs, cost effectiveness of that program, monitoring and reporting of DSM plans, and eligibility criteria of DSM programs. So this guideline has to be followed by the companies, and they can, go step by step. First, they have to see that what is the demand profile in their state, how much consumers use that energy and in what way, at what time. So for that, there should be a load research or market research. They have to go for a survey because our meters are not smart meters, so they don't have the this kind of data with it. So we have to go for the market survey, and we have to see that this is our demand. Now, what is our supply arrangement? We have to see our supply arrangement, whether we are able to give this kind of demand or not, and what kind of load curve. Like I have told you the strategies. What strategy is suitable to us? And then we have to find out whether it is feasible or not, economically it is feasible or not, and from where we will fund it. That is the main job of the DISCOMs. And then they give the plan to the regulator, and they approve it. And when they approve it, then there is a responsibility of the DISCOM to implement it. And that way, DSM process is, given. I have given in detail, but it can be read. It is not required to, because I have explained you in short. But I think, Mr. Naran, we have, limited time. And as I told you, this program needs a lot of, hours of working, because this is not a small subject. But yes, in the brief, we have seen that the tariff, what we are calling innovative tariff. It can be single part tariff. You can have a peak tariff, off-peak tariff. We have time of use tariff. Now, time of use tariff has a peak tariff, which is mostly 25% to 30% higher everywhere in the states in the country. Off-peak is a little cheaper. Then there is a shoulder tariff, means in between the peak and off-peak, there is a in between this thing tariff, which can be, given to the consumer. Then control load. As I told you, now the demand response will introduce a control load. The non-priority, area which is used by the customers for their load, which are not critical in nature, they can be given control load. For that, they will give a benefit from the utility to offer a concessional tariff to them. But their circuit will be dedicated to it, and they can control it remotely whenever there is a peak period, or when there is a power is expensive, they can cut it from their substation. That kind of control load. Then demand tariff is also there, which is still there. Whatever your demand is there, they will charge according to your maximum demand. Now, challenges is that there is no awareness. The second challenge is there. Our utilities are not healthy. We are not so healthy that they can go for DSM programs. So there should be some fund from the central government or the state government or from the consumer side. But this, as I told you, there's for energy efficiency, this is a win-win for everyone. So the customer should also, take part in, in this. I will show you one slide which is very interesting, where I have seen where we have seen that the LED bulb is, which is very expensive in comparison to your LED bulbs are very expensive, but if you compare the burning hours, their burning hours, incandescent lamp, I have selected all the lumens are same, means brightness is same for this kind of bulb. For same brightness, incandescent lamp requires 150 watts, while the LED requires only 25 watts. Now, if you see the burning hours of the incandescent lamp is 1200 only, means it will be fused in 2 months or 3 months time, but LED bulbs have 50,000 distinct burning hours. So we have to work it out like the cost, life cycle cost, means the energy cost plus bulb cost. But if you compare the bulb cost only and compare for the burning hours, if you compare, you see that LED bulb, if you burn it for 50,000 hours and you need only one bulb, while incandescent lamp, you require 42 for the same burning hours. Their cost is 39,000, while this cost is 88,000 only. So if you see in general, the life cycle cost of a LED bulb is quite cheaper. If you use it, your consumption of bill will also reduce. And then there is a benefit of life cycle. You will not require 42 bulbs for your same lumens capacity. So this is the kind of calculation everyone should do while go for the market. So energy efficient articles are very important. You must read that. Whatever written on the air conditioner or refrigerator, this will give you definitely help. So it is a win-win, and consumers are equally responsible for the society benefit. So I will appeal to the consumers, don't wait for the utilities, demand response programs or demand supply management programs. You take your own decision in such a way you are not affecting the society and you are making net zero kind of citizen in the country, and that will help the sustainability dream of the country. And with this, I will thank you so much. Any question, Mr. Naran? You are most welcome. Thank you.